Okay, let's start. Alright. The After Effects, right? For someone who never used it before, and I would think this is the software for composition, for compositing and special effects. So when you think of compositing, right, you probably think of Photoshop, right? That's the most tools that you use. So whatever you do with Photoshop, right, you can give it, make it animated. So make it, alive with After Effects. So that's pretty much, compositing mean, right? Plus special effects. So I'm going to show you, some of the features later. But the first half of the class today, we're going to talk about the basic of concept that you're going to use, how you're going to use After Effects, alright? And then the second half, you're going to play around with that, what you can do something fun for that and put that on the assignment. Okay, so when the beginning of the program, right, it's just like every software, it's just like every software. So when you open up, right, you're going to see welcome screen, and most of you will close it right away, right? But something interesting here, right? You will see open project, right? New composition, and help browse template, alright? Okay, so open projects, right? Normally when you do most software, right, you get in and you say Control New or Command New on Macintosh, so you get a new canvas, so to start working on something. But with the After Effects, it's different, right? When you say Control New, it gives you a new composition. And with this composition, it's like your workspace, and that you can work with, right? Help and support. It's good to have that, right? If you have time, you click on it, you see a bunch of video on Adobe TV and all related link and forum. So you can get a hand if you feel after this today, you feel okay, After Effects is my way to go, so you can concentrate it. It's pretty good business and good money, If you're doing editing with Final Cut or Premiere, right, you can spend hours and hours to do your work as editor, right? But in After Effects, you spend a minute, whatever you can gain from that amount of time compared to editing job. So you create a special effects, alright? So the special effects count by second and minute, do not count by hour. So it costs more expensive. And if you're doing good, right, you can gain a lot of money with that, right? And then browse template, okay? So you can see have a grid icon, okay? So what you're going to browse on it, right? If you click on browse template, right? What you're going to get is automatic launch Adobe Bridge, right? And I think most of you are already familiar with Adobe Bridge on Photoshop and Illustrator or InDesign. But this time you're going to work with a video, right? So when you browse, you're going to see a bunch of folder. So what you're interested in, right? You look into preset, and if you look into this, right, it's also a bunch of folder. There are background, okay? So you can generate, those kind of special effects background that they have preset for you. So you can create some funky stuff, with your presentation. Look nice, or something. All right. And you have behavior. So a lot of you already familiar with the word behavior, right? Because you can drag and drop certain command without any code, single code of programming. So you can animate something with behavior, right? And also you can go to like creative mode, just like Photoshop. You can manipulate the color, you can manipulate the shape, you can do almost whatever you imagine, right? And one thing you might really like it, is text. So there are a bunch of text preset here, so it's very good for you when you do a title, you know, such as you want to have your title, you're running over your image or video, you know, you don't have to keyframe every single animated item, right? So what you do, you can alter the preset animation on that, right? So that what all the preset have for you is all you know, all categorized in the group, and like animate in, animate out, blur, you know, whatever. All right. So that's about the template or the preset that we're going to, you know, experiment with in After Effects. Okay. Now we come back to here, right? So after you're done, right? Okay, you will see the standard user interface of After Effects. It's just like every Adobe software, right? That you can, you know, have a workspace here, and it's liquid, so you can drag, you know, resizing or reorganizing your space by, you know, moving around like that, and at the end, right, you might confuse, oh, what did I do or something, all right? So you know, always get back to the standard by go to Window, Workspace, and Reset Standard. So it's always come back to your normal workspace, and if you really like your design workspace, so you can set as preset on that. Okay, now when we're talking about this user interface, right, it's just very similar to, you know, standard animation software. Okay. So when you're getting started, right, you go to composition, and then you create new composition or Control N, right? Normally, every software you come to File and Control N is a new. But in this particular one, right, so you always start with new composition, right? So when you start with new composition, it allows you to name your file, right? And since Fresh, right? Fresh, you work with that before. Fresh, you always work with something about at the end you do animation, you do interactive at the end, right? You're going to output it to web, right, for distribution. Director, you always doing that and output it to CD-ROM or kiosk. But with After Effects, you always output it to video or feed for broadcasting or for theater, right? So that's the main difference, right? So director and Flash, right? When you play your animation, it calculates according to your CPU. It's upon your how complicated or sophisticated your work are, right? More elements require more CPU power to do that. But in After Effects, right? Doesn't matter how many items you have on your After Effects, you know. Since you render it to animation to video, it's become a video. So you can play with VLC, you can play with whatever video player file, right? And then when we look at it, right, on the preset here, on the preset, right, you have the custom. Okay, what is the custom? The custom that allows you to create a strange shape, non-traditional broadcasting format. So basically, another word, whatever size you want, right? Which is normally we do not do that unless we have some particular idea or assignment to do so. All right, and after that is web video. So you can see a tiny stamp size 320 by 240. So that's the very small size of a web video. But now, of course, you can look at the podcasting quality on the web with the high-speed internet. And then you see a bunch of NTSC DV and NTSC DV widescreen and PAL. Okay. So in the broadcasting world, or another word, television world, right? There are two types of broadcasting system. Actually, there are more than 2 types, but right now it seems to be it's just only 2 types left. So it have NTSC, which is using in Japan and in United States, right? And another one is PAL, which is using in most of the country in the world, in Europe and Asia, right? So in Thailand, we use something called PAL, right? And the main difference is the pixel dimension of the video itself. You know, the canvas size is different. The NTSC is slightly smaller, but it's higher frame rate. It's about 30 frames per second. And for the PAL, it's slightly bigger pixel dimension, but it have slightly lower frame rate. Okay, so now we learn about DPI, PPI, right? Now we're going to learn about frame per second, right? So we call frame rate. So what the frame rate that they're using in PAL? In PAL they're using 25 frames per second, right? And NTSC we said 30 frames, but actually it's not, if you want to be picky about, it's not a 30 frames per second, it's 29.97 frame per second, you know, to be like a computer thing. Alright, so the idea is just remember it's about 30 frames per second. So what the benefit of frame rate?
The benefit.
Yes, the benefit of frame rate. Why should we need more frame per second?
Like the more frame is in the video, it's more smooth.
Yeah, the motion will be go smoother, right? Like a game, some of the game right now you can play with 120 or 200 frames per second on PlayStation, right? So it gives you a very, very cool graphic. But what the trade-off? Yeah, what the trade-off? The trade-off